I thought it was just an old, abandoned house. Until the walls started whispering my name, the shadows began to move, and I realized something sinister was trapped inside, waiting for me. It started with a whisper. Faint, almost like a breeze slipping through the cracks of my bedroom window. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Living alone in my grandmother's old house was already unsettling enough. But as the nights passed, the whispers grew clearer. They were calling my name. Elena. I would wake up in a cold sweat, my pulse racing. The sound never came from one direction. It was everywhere. The old wooden walls, the attic, the basement I never dared to enter. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself it was just the wind, the creaking of an old house settling. But then the whispers turned into voices. And the voices knew things about me. Why did you come back? You should have left this house alone. She's still here, you know. That last whisper made my blood turn to ice. Because she could only mean one person. My grandmother. She had died in this house. And if the whispers were telling the truth, she had never left. I inherited the house after she passed, an old Victorian home on the edge of town, shrouded in mystery and decay. I was hesitant to move in, but financial struggles forced my hand. I told myself it was just a house, bricks and wood, nothing more. But the moment I stepped inside, I felt it. A presence. Not just the loneliness of an abandoned house, but something else, like the air itself was watching me. The walls carried the weight of something unseen. The shadows stretched too long in the corners. And the mirrors, they never quite reflected what they should. The whispers started after my first week. I heard them in the dead of night, soft, almost gentle at first. My name, carried by the darkness. I told myself it was just my imagination. But then they grew louder, more distinct. One night, I recorded the whispers on my phone. I played it back the next morning, expecting static. But what I heard sent chills down my spine. Elena, run, before it finds you. The voice was familiar. It wasn't just any whisper. It was my grandmother's. And she was trying to warn me. I sat frozen, staring at my phone screen. The voice on the recording, it was unmistakable. My grandmother's voice, clear as day, whispering a warning. Elena, run, before it finds you. The way she said it, urgent, desperate, sent a shiver down my spine. Before what finds me. The room suddenly felt too small, the air thick with something unseen. My breath came in shallow gasps as my mind raced. Was I losing it? Was this some kind of cruel prank? No. I knew my grandmother's voice. And she was dead. I played the recording again, lowering the volume like somehow that would make it less terrifying. The whisper crackled through my speakers, sending a cold wave of fear through my body. Run, before it finds you. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Then, I heard it. A soft creak outside my bedroom door. I turned so fast my neck ached. The door was shut, but my heart pounded in my ears. The house was old, sure, but I hadn't moved. And there was no breeze. The sound had come from something, or someone. My mind screamed at me to check, to make sure I was alone. But every instinct in my body told me not to move. Another creak. Closer this time. I gripped my phone so tight my fingers ached. Then, a whisper, not from the recording. This time, it was real. She told you to run. A choked gasp escaped me. The voice was right outside my door. I bolted upright, my pulse hammering. Slowly, my shaking hand reached for the bedside lamp. My fingers fumbled over the switch. Click. The bulb flickered, then went out. Total darkness. I barely swallowed a scream as I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the shadows, but I didn't dare shine it toward the door. Then, knock, knock, knock. Soft. Rhythmic. Like someone waiting. I couldn't breathe. The whispers swirled around me now, dozens of them, overlapping, hissing. Don't open it. Run, Elena. It knows you're awake. Tears stung my eyes as I scrambled back against the headboard. My mind raced for answers, but all I could do was stare at the door. Then, the knob twisted. Once. Twice. Then, it slowly started to turn. And I realized I might not be alone in this house after all. The door handle twisted with a slow, deliberate motion. I pressed myself against the headboard, my heart slamming against my ribs. My flashlight shook in my hands, the narrow beam of light barely enough to pierce the darkness. Then, the handle stopped. A silence stretched across the room, so thick it felt like the walls were pressing in on me. I held my breath. For a moment, I thought, maybe I imagined it. Maybe the house is just settling. Then, a new sound. Soft. Subtle. Breathing. Not mine. It came from the other side of the door, slow and measured, as if something, was standing there, waiting. My stomach twisted. I gripped my phone, my fingers damp with sweat. What do? I thought about running, but my legs felt like lead. The whispers had warned me not to open the door. What if they were right? Then, my phone buzzed in my hand. A text. From an unknown number. Do not move. It knows when you move. My breath hitched. My hands turned ice cold. I wanted to believe it was a prank, that someone was messing with me. But the air in my room was different now, thick, heavy, charged with something unseen. I didn't dare reply. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I was too afraid to type. Then, another text. Close your eyes. Don't breathe. Wait. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sandpaper. My mind screamed at me to run, to hide, to do something, but my gut told me to listen. I took one last look at the door. The handle wasn't moving anymore. But the breathing, oh God, the breathing, was still there. Slowly, I squeezed my eyes shut. I clamped a hand over my mouth, forcing myself to stay still. Seconds crawled by. The air grew colder. Then, a soft click. The door was unlocking. I bit down on my lip, my pulse hammering in my ears. I wanted to open my eyes, to see what was happening, but I didn't dare. Then came the whisper. So close it felt like it was right beside my ear. I see you. I snapped. My eyes flew open, and I turned the flashlight toward the door. Nothing. The door was wide open. The hallway beyond it stretched into pure darkness. No one was there. The whisper was gone. The breathing was gone. But the feeling, the overwhelming sense of being watched, had never been stronger. And then, I saw it. Something had been carved into the wooden door. A single word, scratched deep into the surface. Run. I couldn't breathe. The word run was scratched into the door, deep and jagged, as if someone, or something, had gouged it in with desperate, trembling hands. But no one was there. The hallway stretched into darkness, silent and empty. I stepped forward, shining my flashlight toward the floor. My stomach twisted. There were footprints. Bare, wet footprints leading into my room. Not out. Something had been inside with me. I staggered back, my pulse roaring in my ears. My body screamed at me to run, to leave this cursed house and never look back. But my legs wouldn't move. Then, my phone buzzed again. Another text. Same unknown number. It's still here. A chill slithered down my spine. My fingers trembled as I typed back. Who are you? Seconds passed. The 3 dots appeared. Whoever it was, they were typing. Then, you don't remember me. But I remember you. I sucked in a sharp breath. My mind raced, trying to place the voice behind the text. But before I could respond, something else happened. The whispering returned. Not from the hallway. Not from outside. It was inside the room. Right behind me. Why didn't you run? I spun around, swinging my flashlight wildly. Nothing. But I could feel it. A presence, unseen but suffocatingly close, like hot breath against my skin. And then, my phone buzzed one more time. Look under the bed. I froze. No. No way. I wasn't one of those horror movie idiots who actually looked. But something compelled me. Hands shaking, I crouched down, lowering the flashlight. The beam of light trembled against the wooden floor. Then, I saw them. Fingers. Pale, unmoving fingers curled around the edge of the bed frame. My scream got caught in my throat. And then, so slowly I thought I might die from terror, they moved. Gripping the wood. Dragging forward. Someone, was crawling out. I dropped the flashlight and bolted. My feet pounded against the wooden floor as I sprinted down the hallway. The whispers chased after me, growing louder, angrier. The walls groaned. The house breathed. Then, I tripped. The floor vanished beneath me, and I tumbled down a flight of unseen stairs. My body crashed against the steps, pain exploding through my ribs and elbows. I hit the bottom with a sickening thud. Darkness swallowed me whole. And somewhere in the distance, a soft voice whispered, closer than ever before. Now you remember. Darkness. A thick, suffocating blackness pressed around me. My ribs ached from the fall, and my head pounded as I tried to move. The cold, damp floor beneath me sent a sickening chill through my body. Then, I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Slow. Shallow. Right next to me. My body tensed. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to get away. But my limbs wouldn't move. I could only lay there, frozen, my ears straining against the silence. Then, a whisper. You finally came back. The voice was wrong. It wasn't just eerie, it felt familiar. Memories I didn't recognize flickered through my mind. A child's laughter. A locked door. Scratched fingernails against wood. I gasped, jerking upright. My hands scrambled against the cold stone floor, searching for my flashlight. It had rolled a few feet away, its beam flickering dimly in the suffocating dark. I reached for it. Fingers brushed against mine. Not my fingers. Cold. Dry. Skeletal. I screamed, snatching the flashlight and flicking it toward the source. Nothing. The room was empty. The only thing in front of me was a long-forgotten basement, littered with dust and rotting wooden crates. But something had been there. Then, my phone buzzed. The unknown number. Again. Check the wall. My heart pounded as I turned, the flashlight beam sweeping over the damp, cracked walls. Then, I saw it. A door. Not just any door. It was a child's bedroom door. Tiny, faded handprints covered the wooden surface. The doorknob was rusted but small, too small for an adult. My fingers trembled as I reached out and brushed against the wood. A sharp jolt of something shot through me. A memory? A vision? A little girl. Locked inside. Screaming. Scratching at the door. My breath hitched. I knew this door. But how? Then, I heard the scratching. Not from my mind. Not a memory. From the other side of the door. Long, slow drags of nails against the wood. And then, a voice. A child's voice. You left me here. My blood ran ice cold. No, I whispered, stepping back. No, I didn't. The scratching stopped. Silence. Then, the doorknob began to turn. Click, click, click. It was unlocking itself. I turned to run, but my phone buzzed again. One final message. It's time to remember. The door swung open, and something stepped out. The door creaked open, revealing nothing but darkness. But I felt something. A presence. A shift in the air, thick with a scent I couldn't place. Old wood, damp rot, and something sweeter. Like faded perfume. My hands trembled as I raised the flashlight, its weak beam slicing into the void beyond the door. The shadows shifted, dancing unnaturally. Then, a small hand reached out from the dark. Thin, pale. Fingers curled like brittle twigs. I stumbled backward, my breath caught in my throat. And then I saw her. A little girl. No more than 6 or 7. Her skin was ghostly white, her hair tangled and matted against her face. She wore a faded nightgown, torn at the hem, stained with something dark. Her eyes, wide, hollow, and brimming with something I couldn't name, locked onto mine. You came back, she whispered, tilting her head. Her voice sent a deep, aching wrongness through my bones. It was familiar. I shook my head. I don't know you. She frowned. Then, she stepped closer. Too close. I backed away, heart hammering. But I know you, she said softly. You left me here. The words hit me like a punch. No, I breathed. That's not, I never. Memories began to claw their way into my mind. A house. This house. A locked room. A little girl's screams, muffled through walls. My stomach turned. Who are you? She blinked. And then, she smiled. Not the smile of a child. Not innocent. Not sweet. It was knowing. Cruel. I'm your sister. I choked on my breath. That's not possible. You don't remember, do you? The walls around us groaned, the very foundation of the house shifting. The air grew heavy, thick with whispers I couldn't understand. The girl took another step forward. You promised you'd come back. And then, I remembered. A locked door. A crying child. My own hands. Turning the key from the outside. A rush of nausea hit me as the truth slammed into my mind.
I had locked her in.
I had left her here.
To die.
The house groaned louder, the shadows deepening, swirling around us. The girl's smile widened. Now it's your turn.
The door behind me slammed shut. And the lights went out. Darkness swallowed me whole.
I scrambled against the door, my fingers clawing at the wood.
It wouldn't budge.
The air thickened, pressing against my skin, breathing against my neck. Now it's your turn.
The girl's voice slithered through the dark. Closer. Too close.
I turned, my breath ragged. The flashlight flickered weakly in my shaking hands, casting jagged shadows against the walls. She stood in the center of the room, her wide, unblinking eyes locked onto mine. Please, I whispered.
I didn't know.
I didn't remember.
Her head tilted.
Her fingers twitched. The air around us shuddered, the walls seeming to close in. You forgot me. The whisper curled around my ears, wrapping around my ribs, squeezing. You left me here.
I squeezed my eyes shut, memories clawing at the edges of my mind. I saw myself, younger, standing outside this very room.
A small hand banging on the door. A voice, her voice, pleading, begging.
Let me out.
Please, I'm scared.
And I had walked away. I had left her here to die.
But now, she whispered, her breath cold against my cheek, you remember.
I opened my eyes. And she was right there.
Her face inches from mine. Eyes black as the void. Lips curling into a wicked, knowing smile. The flashlight sputtered, then died.
Total darkness. A sharp, cold pain bloomed in my chest. I gasped.
My body convulsed. Someone, was inside me, crawling beneath my skin, twisting into my bones. I opened my mouth to scream.
But no sound came. The room blurred, spun. My vision darkened at the edges.
The pain spread, my very essence unraveling, slipping away.
Then, silence. The air settled. The house grew still. And then, I opened my eyes.
I stood in the center of the room. The weight of my small, fragile body felt unfamiliar. My hands, small, pale, brittle. My nightgown, faded, torn, stained. Across from me, he lay sprawled on the floor. Eyes empty. Breath gone. I tilted my head, flexing my fingers. And then, I smiled.
I had waited for this moment. 4 years. He had taken my life.
Now, I had taken his. The house groaned in approval. And the whispers welcomed me home.